Alrighty, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first board meeting for 2024. We're glad to see all of you here and hope you had a great holiday break. Before we get started, Mr. Bailey is going to say a quick prayer for us, and then the Appalachia High School JROTC are going to present the colors. So if you'll stand with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. He says quick. Sometimes us Baptists get carried away. So, let's pray. Pray with me. Dear Lord, the creator of all the universe, everything, Lord, you're a provider. Lord, you're my redeemer. And we have so much to be thankful for. I think we have one of the greatest school systems there is. And Lord, I just ask you to be with us tonight as we make decisions considering our students, our teachers, our faculty, administration, everybody that it takes to make the school system work. Lord, will our decisions be in accordance with your will. Lord, I just thank you for Mr. Johnson and his willingness to step in, and there will be a temporary basis, Lord, to lead us as a school district and just keep us going, Lord. And we just thank you for that. Just ask you to be with us on our decisions. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
There we go.
Mark time. March. Type turn. March. Detail. Halt. Post. Colors. Present. Arms.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Left. Face. Forward. March. Arm time. March. Details. Halt. Left. Face.
I'm Cadet Sergeant Gio Johnson.
I'm Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Paulson.
I'm Cadet Command Sergeant Major Michael Moss. I'm Cadet Corporal Aiden Waters.
Right. Face. Forward. March.
Thank you, cadets. You guys can be seated. All right, at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Johnson for the election of officers.
So, Mr. Raper, every year we have elections for our chairman and our vice chair. So at this time, I'd like to take nominations for our chairman.
Mr. Johnson, I'd like to nominate Jordan Raper for chairman.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. Any other nominations?
Move the nominations be closed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Could nominations close? Can we vote by acclamation? All those in favor of Mr. Raper? Thank you. Now it's time to nominate for our vice chair. Do I hear any nominations?
I make a motion that we nominate Lisa Maloof for vice chair.
Lisa Malou for vice chair. Do I have a
Second.
second? Okay, got a second. Any other nominations?
I'll second.
Okay, second. Any other nominations?
I move that nominations be closed.
Nominations are closed with the second.
Second.
Vote by acclamation. All those in favor of Lisa Maloof being our vice chair? Good. Great. Okay, so then our chair is Jordan Raper again, and Miss Lisa Maloof, our vice chair. Congratulations.
Alrighty, thank you, guys. We look forward to serving with you for another year. Okay, we will go ahead and move on with the agenda. At this time, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our December 5th, 2023 regular board meeting, our December 8th, 2023 called board meeting, our December 12th, 2023 called board meeting, and our January 2nd, 2024 work session and called board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Ms. Stevens, Ms. Maloof, all in favor? Okay, motion passes. Next, can I get approval for tonight's agenda?
So moved. Second.
Ms. Stevens, Ms. Hendricks, all in favor? Okay, motion passes. Next, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was presented?
So
So moved.
Mr. Bailey? Ms. Maloof, all in favor? Alrighty, motion passes. Next, we're gonna go into committee reports. Back in December, Ms. Kelly, Mr. Bailey, and myself toured Bassa, Sims, and Austin Road. All very clean schools. While we were there, we also got to see, one of the things we talked about at work session, we got to see the construction going on with Bassa's improvements and additions, and if anybody could win a clean school visit, I would give it to the construction team, because that was probably the cleanest job site I've ever seen. It's amazing how they're building these schools in these active campuses, so good job to those. But between the three active schools, Bassa, Sims, and Austin Road, we would like to award Austin Road Elementary as December's Clean School of the Month. So congratulations, Austin Road. Alrighty, next we have a few superintendent's recognitions, so I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Johnson.
Yes. Mr. Pruno, would you like to come up?
Good evening, thank you. Tonight, we'd like to recognize two teams, custodial teams, and we'll announce the teams, and I'll also call out the individual names. These awards are based on quarterly inspections that we perform in our schools. And this is our contract manager who goes out into the schools, and he does a deep check of the schools. This is early in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Nobody's in there. The building should be clean from the night before. And so he's checking everything from restrooms to the cafeteria, the classrooms, office spaces. And he's taking a real close look at things and giving scores. And the two teams we're going to recognize tonight are two teams that have shown the most improvement over these first two quarters. We've experienced some challenges at these schools in the past, but it's a great credit to them for the job that they do on a daily basis to have brought these schools up just tremendously over these last two quarters. I'd also like to point out one thing. There's a common link there between the two, and that is Mr. Joel Costa. He's a head custodian, and he did work over at Bethlehem several months ago and did a fine job over there getting that team together and cleaning that school, bringing it up tremendously. And he did such a fine job that we were having some issues at Statham when we said, can you help us over there? And so he's been there for the last couple of months, and he's just continued that same track record along with his team to bring that school to a whole nother level. So thank you, Joel. And the two schools, by the way, are Bethlehem Elementary School and Statham Elementary School. Okay, and so, like I say, we have the one award for the school, but I'll call out the individual names. First, this will be Statham. Okay, and we have Laura Perez, who's the day porter, and I don't believe Laura's here this evening, but Joel Costa, Evelyn Ventura, Samuel Alsey, Aaron Hollemans, and Janessa Hollemans. And if you all would come up, please, just so we can recognize you. Thank you all for what you do. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Y'all hang on just a minute. We'll get Bethlehem up here as well, and then we're going to get you to go out in the lobby and take some pictures there. Bethlehem Elementary, if you all would please come up. This is Bruce Baucom, day porter, Angela Checo, Gabriela Mendoza, and Alejandro Geronimo. It takes a team, we know that, right? And we have day porters, we have head custodians, restroom cleaners, general cleaners, floor techs. They all play a different role, and some of them do different things. They know how to interchange and get different things done. But they do a tremendous job for us, and we can't thank you enough for what you do for our schools every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Mr. Ayers, Transportation.
Good evening, everybody. As we continue to take care of our behind-the-scenes folks, the folks you never hear from, this crowd here is the ones that's responsible for all of it. If you see a bus on the road, they're responsible for it. If you see one on the side of the road, they're responsible for that one also, and stuff. So it would be our technicians. Again, these are folks you never hear from. You'll never hear nothing from them unless they smash their finger or can't find the motor oil or something. So then you can hear them across the parking lot. So anyway, I'll start out with our shop supervisors, Justin Nix. And Justin, you guys can just line up right here in awkward silence while everybody stares at you, and we'll get everybody up here. Alex Charles. Now, Alex moves around a bunch. You can see him in the parking lot and turn around, and he's on that side of you, too, at the same time. So, Dusty Hackney. Dusty's an upcoming star, even though he's youngest one of the crowd. Probably going to run the place before it's over with one of these days when we all retire at the same time. But very good tech, real good with the computers and all that, because I can tell you this is the same technology on these buses. It's on a Lexus or anything else running around on the highway. So you have to really be highly technically skilled, and that's what these guys are. So, Donnie Phillips. Matthew Bailey. And Glenn Beasley. Now, Glenn's like a wizard. I'll have to point him out. He's like a wizard when it comes to electronic stuff. I mean, he's just like a surgeon. It's crazy. So he's a brain surgeon, but on the bus. So anyway, but these are our guys. Like I said, they're invisible sometimes, and they make it happen every day. Days like today, they were out on the road and it was raining. So just think about that. They don't have options when them buses and them kids need to get off, get to school safely. So give you guys. Thank y'all very much.
Roads, and you guys sometimes, I know you might have to fill in as a bus driver sometimes. Is that true? Yeah. We don't have bus drivers.
They try not to be available.
Yeah. I just want to let you know, from our standpoint, our Board of Education, we appreciate it. We appreciate it greatly because we all have our kids that we love. We want to make sure they get home okay. You're a big part of that, making sure that bus is safe and it's taken care of. But I appreciate the other things he's doing, so thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Lowe, come up.
All right, good evening, everyone. The School Social Workers Association of Georgia, also known as SWAG, is the premier organization in this state for supporting, advocating, and providing continuing education for all of Georgia's school social workers. Every year, SWAG recognizes individuals at the regional level whose commitment and achievements to supporting positive educational outcomes for students are exceptional. One of our incredible social workers, Ms. Stephanie Bird, was nominated and selected by our region as this year's School Social Worker of the Year for District 9. This honor is well-deserved and hard-earned, as Stephanie has not been just involved but instrumental in supporting and leading many of the initiatives that support the needs of Barrow County, including Feeding Families, the Barrow County Schools Attendance Protocol Committee, and our upcoming Super Bowl event. As you can probably tell, Ms. Bird was recognized for this outstanding achievement because of her leadership at district and state levels, political and legislative engagement, commitment to the code of ethics, and her contributions to the school social work profession. Ms. Bird will now move forward to compete for State Social Worker of the Year. So please help me by congratulating Ms. Bird on the enormous impact she has made on our students, school, and community, as made evident by this incredible achievement. Stephanie?
All right, moving right along. Next, we're going to jump down into the superintendent's department reports. We will start off with Dr. Bowen with support services.
I don't have anything this time.
All righty, thank you, sir. Next, we've got Ms. Houston with business services.
All right, good evening. Let's flip this around so I can see you guys. The first thing we'll go over is our ELOST sales tax receipts. So for the month of December, we received $1,670,003.27. And you can see on the graph there where we are. We're 3.7% more than we received last year. At the end of the year, I like to go over our look back so you can see our sales tax collections all the way back from 2000 to 2023. And so we had a total of $20.5 million received this year. And then you can see the percentages up and down. You can see the recession that we went through and where we are right now. And then our general fund financial summary is here. Our fund balance at 12/31 was $101.7 million, and of course, remember that number is larger now because we get all of our property taxes in, and then it will go down in the next 6 months because we pay out off of those property taxes. Our total revenues year to date is $117.8 million. Our total expenditures year to date, $91.5 million. Our total revenues for the month of December is $20.9, and our total expenditures for the month of December is $15.5. We're at 50% of the year, and so our revenues are at 64%, and our expenditures 48%. And then we have our detail report of the general fund. And then we'll move into our special revenue funds. This is for the month of November. Our special revenues fund, year-to-date revenue, $11.2 million and $11.7 million for expenditures. Our capital projects fund, $18.4 million for revenues and $19.9 million for expenditures, because we're building BASA 2 over there. In our debt service fund, $8.9 million revenue and $11.1 million for our debt service. Any questions on that?
Ms. Houston, do we have an accounting yet of what percentage of our property tax has been collected thus far this year?
Yes, ma'am, 91.16% we've collected so far. All right, Josh Carroll is here from Malden & Jenkins CPA firm. He's going to do a general overview of how the financial audit went for 2023. This audit is a culmination of everyone's work, bookkeepers, directors, principals, cabinet, and the board, superintendent too. All of us contribute to our financial situation. Our finance department plays a large role, and I want to thank them for being a great team. Pam McNamara there in the back, she is our audit manager, and she does a phenomenal job of putting all of the information together and keeping us compliant with rules and regulations. So thank you, Pam. And without further ado, Josh, come on up here.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you to the board for having me. Let me log in here so I can see the report real quick. computers, yeah. Let me scooch just a hair. We'll make it work from there. There we go. Okay, awesome. Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, great. Thanks for the introduction, Jennifer. I'm Josh Carroll. I'm with Malden & Jenkins. I'm a partner, and we are new auditors for the school board this year. It's a June 30, 2023 audit, and I'm going to kind of go through this PowerPoint, just some general overview and how the audit went and some results. And I have questions at the end, but if anybody has any questions as I'm going along, you can feel free to stop me, and we can talk about them then. A lot of awards tonight, and this will be kind of an award for the finance group, and as Jennifer said, everybody who's involved in making audit kind of come to completion and happen. This slide, Malden Jenkins, we've been around over 100 years now. We invest a lot of time in state and local governments and school boards. We do more school audits in Georgia than anyone, more counties, more cities. I spend 100% of my time doing school boards and county and state audits. I don't do any tax work, and everybody that worked on the school's audit is in the same boat. So we bring a lot of, school board knowledge and governmental accounting knowledge to this school board's audit. Next slide. The statements are the responsibility of the board's management. Our responsibility as your external auditors to express an opinion. We followed all the generally accepted auditing standards, government auditing standards, and we did issue an unmodified or a clean opinion, which is what you'd hope to get. So as far as we're concerned, the statements are materially correct. We also issue a report on compliance and control. We come in and we walk through basically all the accounting cycles. We look at how cash is receipted, how it's dispersed, procurement processes. We look at how you're spending your ELOS money, just all the transactions. And we didn't have any comments or findings there, so it's a clean report on compliance and control as well. You can go to the next slide, please. We look at your grants as well. We had 4 major programs this year. They're listed there. We go through the grant agreements and the federal compliance supplement and follow all the required testing there, everything that the school is required to do to receive and administer those grants. And we had no issues at all, so it's a clean overall for the grants. It's awesome to see that. Let's see, next slide. This slide, let's see, so if I was on the board, I want to know, do we have any kind of like unusual accounting policies or estimates that might sway our statements in one way or another? Any estimates? And you don't, your notes disclose those accounting policies. They're very similar to, all school districts in Georgia. All your neighbors kind of have pretty similar accounting problems, and, your pension and OPEB, you're in the multiple employer plans, so you kind of use those assumptions. The actuaries do what they do, and we look at those, and they don't seem overly aggressive, so there's nothing to worry about there. Next slide. We have a good relationship with management. We come in, and as Jennifer said, it takes a lot to get an audit done. We come in and we ask for a lot of information from the finance group and people who work in grants and people who work at individual schools. We bug a lot of people. It's kind of a pain, and especially in the first year, it's a little cumbersome for both parties, but we got the audit done on time, and we really appreciate the school investing all their time and resources into the audit to make that happen as well. Next slide. We didn't have any audit adjustments. The finance group gives us a general ledger. We do our thing. We audit it. We didn't have any adjustments to any accounts at all. That's certainly not the norm from what I see in local governments and school boards. So you guys have an excellent finance department, Jennifer and her team. And as she said, Pam, we bugged the crap out of Pam for, it seemed like a couple months. And I mean, we didn't have any questions. They didn't have an immediate answer to us. You guys have a really good finance department. Everything was super organized, and it made the audit go really well, and we appreciate that. And we are independent. We don't do any bookkeeping. We don't post any journal entries. We won't do any monthly activities that you guys pay us for that would influence that clean opinion that you received. Next slide. So this is one slide. This is your general fund. It's your unassigned fund balance, which is, there's some restricted fund balance in there as well, and this is kind of your liquidity here. How much fund balance do you have as a percentage of your annual expenditures? It's a 5-year trend, and the GFOA is the standard setting body for local governments, and they recommend 2 to 3 months at a minimum. So you guys are right there, at the 20, 30, 35, and 37. It's as high as it's been in the last 5 years. Sales taxes are pretty good. The economy's doing well, so it's good to see that kind of trending up. But you have a pretty healthy fund balance in your general fund. Next slide. So we are a full-service CPA firm, so since it's our first year. Just want to tell the board, we do have a governmental advisory service group. They do a lot of niche projects for local governments. They kind of fall in those 4 buckets. They do a lot of like budget, strategy, performance measures, how are we using our resources, how does that compare to our core values and our goals, and how does it maybe compare to benchmarks and industry standards, as far as maybe Georgia DOE is concerned, or just, our neighbors. So they do a lot of niche projects. It's interesting, there's a separate partner that heads that up. If it's something the board's interested in hearing more about, I'd be happy to, set up a meeting with him. But that is something we offer outside of just a general, audit, CPA firm. So, next slide. We also have an IT and a cybersecurity group. That's front page news. Nowadays, everyone is, getting hacked. No one's immune to it. We have a group that does that. They do penetration testing. They kind of do a gap analysis of, what information do we have and how might it potentially be exposed, and what could we do to, maybe make sure that doesn't happen. So those are 2 groups that we do have outside of just doing the annual audit. Next slide. GASB's always busy. These are the 2 accounting standards coming up that the finance group and myself will have to implement over the next couple years of audits. There's nothing really major, but GASB does continue to give us new standards and things to implement every year. And the next slide, let's see. We can go to the next slide. And we do continue, we provide free CPE to all of our clients. We give 28 hours of free education. They're Zoom-based virtual clients. Jennifer and Pam are on that list, and if there's anyone else the board feels would benefit from governmental accounting, continuing education, I'd be happy to get anyone signed up. And the next slide, I think that's it. And like I said, we really enjoyed working with the school. We appreciate giving us the opportunity to serve you as an auditor, and the audit was clean and smooth, and I'm looking forward to the future. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I just have a comment.
Sure.
Once again, another home run. Thank you guys for everything you do. I just love it when a plan comes together. Thanks.
Sure.
And to be clear, this is the best one you've ever seen.
Definitely.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's see. Next, Mr. Perno with System Operations.
Nothing to add.
All righty, thank you, sir. Dr. Moten, Teaching and Learning.
No additional information.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Beggs, Planning and Personnel.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. And last but not least, Dr. Thompson with Strategic Information Services. All right. So at this time, we're going to move into old business. Last week, the board approved King Cooper and Associates as our search firm for our new superintendent. And so tonight, we have our lead, Dr. Alan McCannon, here to present for us.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna give you a couple things as I go by to my place. If you want to allow me to do that.
Yes, sir.
Chair, I'm gonna give you a copy of our agreement, sir. You'll keep one for yourself and one for, when returning it, please. What you voted on last week. Board members, I'm gonna give you, this is not PowerPoint, trying to save a few trees, I'm just gonna give you some stuff that, start looking at some tentative dates, things like that. Just honored to be here, appreciate it very much. Thank you.
I'll send them that PowerPoint if you want.
Yeah, and then you can do that if you don't mind.
Okay.
You just send it to them, I didn't wanna, I think it's more important.
PowerPoint.
Thank you.
Thank you. So sorry. And I'll get it. I'll head to the other side, and we'll get going. All right, so, this has been prepared for exclusive for the Bear County Board of Education. If you go to the next slide. Presented by King Cooper and Associates. All right, first I wanna thank you very much for allowing us to trust us to do your search. I think board members, it's unsung hero, you're unsung heroes in our society. It's not a very, it can be a very thankless job. When you go to a grocery store or you're out in the community. Sometimes it can be positive and sometimes it can be negative. And, you know, if you think about it, you guys are really the guardians of local control. You take the three forms of government, local governments are the most trusted. And I'm going to time myself because I told the board chair I'd be 15 minutes. And so I want you to thank you. This is incredible. I guess out of all the things the board that you'll do, this may be the most important in selecting the superintendent. There's a lot of important things you do, but this is going to be right at the top. All right, next slide, please. Real quick about me. 31 years in education, 9 years superintendent, 2-time finalist. And the only reason I put that up there is to be nominated for that. Your board has to do that. So that means I got along with my board. All right, next slide. So one of the most critical responsibilities you do are selecting that superintendent. It can be a little challenging and complex sometimes. And so we're here to assist you. But now we want to make a comment to the public. The board selects the superintendent. We're not a firm where we don't have an agenda. We don't have a plan, and we don't have a person. And matter of fact, we'll tell boards this. If you don't want to make your selection, then we're not the people for you. And so we've had, and since I've been doing this, we've had great placement, but I think we've had great placement because we work with the board to help them determine what they think, whether this person will be the best for their system, and lead their system, and work with students. So we're here to assist you. We're not here to make a decision for you. We're not here to push an agenda, I promise you. We've been doing searches since 2001. We only work with a limited number of systems. We have a really good track record. Matter of fact, every superintendent, this is going to change, but every superintendent search that I've been a part of, the superintendent's still working at that system. As our fees are very reasonable. So if you go to that next slide, we're going to assess the school district needs. We're going to help you think about what do you need in the next superintendent to lead the Bexar County school system. We're going to assist you in developing a leadership profile. Matter of fact, I have presented you with the leadership profile that you used the last time you made a selection. We're going to establish a timeline, which you have a tentative timeline in front of you. We're going to develop application materials. Mr. Chair, the one thing that I'll need to get from you guys is the standard. We usually do 6 weeks on announcements. So if that's okay, that's important for us because after tonight, we're going to get this announced. I'm going to get with the organizations tomorrow. 6 weeks is the standard. Most people don't want to, that's 8 weeks is really not necessarily 4 weeks. I think sometimes is a little short. So we're going to look at a 6-week, March the 1st. Of course, if you guys have something different, you let me know. But we're going to get it going tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to develop and distribute application materials. We're going to advertise your position. I'll be working on that tomorrow along with Mr. King. And we're going to recruit good candidates. Based on that, we're going to send things out and encourage people to apply. But we're not pushing. We want a good pool, not a person. We want a good pool. We're not trying to get you a person, okay? So next slide, what can we do? We can handle the correspondence. We're going to get those nominations. We're going to review your application materials. Here's one thing that we do. We do not make the application process laborious. We don't make it where you dread applying. The reason we do that is right now, because there's so many superintendent changes in Georgia, I don't know, last check, in the last year and a half, 32, 33 new superintendents out of 180. That's a lot. So the pool is down a little bit because people are changing and getting jobs. So what we try to do is we don't want to discourage applicants. And if we make a very difficult process and there's 3 openings or 4 openings, an applicant is going to do what? She or he is going to pick 1 or 2 to apply for. They don't have time to do all that. So we don't try to discourage applicants. We're going to help you get the best pool we can get and help you select the best person for this position. We're going to check your references. I was on the phone today working at another system, helping another system. We're going to assist you in the interview preparation process. We're going to assist you with materials. We're going to schedule those interviews, okay? We're going to help you rank your candidates. We're going to help you compile the salary and benefit studies. I've already got your RESA study already completed. We're going to request specific information as you know. We'll interface with the media. We're going to do some surveys. I got a copy of a survey that you have there in your packet. Now, here's the thing about a survey you'll hear sometime. We don't do an open-ended survey. We do a survey with just quick responses. Well, first of all is we want a lot of people to do the survey. The larger amount of participants, the more statistically significant it'll be. We don't do open-ended, but you as a board you welcome for your constituents to give you ideas and listen to them. They could give you ideas on a question. They could give you ideas on what they're looking for to be the next superintendent, and you'll bring those ideas to the meetings. We'll look at all the legal guidelines, and we'll do a whole board training if necessary, and you can get some actually receive some board credit. All right? So what's our advantage of us? We're gonna recruit, we're gonna interview, we're gonna make sure we take great pleasure in making sure an interview is thoroughly planned. Okay? We're gonna thoroughly plan an interview, and we'll provide contract assistance if needed. We'll help you. We'll be the go-between. Some boards do not want us to do that. Some boards do. That's your decision. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. Here's the one good thing I want to say about King Cooper. Frank King, who I know some of you know on this board, he's still our leader. He was a superintendent for 21 years. Sandy Addis, Dr. Addis led the Pioneer RESA. He works for the Dropout Prevention in Clemson. Excellent educator. Jack Parrish, former superintendent of Henry County. John Larsey, former superintendent in Charlton. Wes Taylor, former superintendent in Lowndes, and also a National Principal of the Year. So this is an outstanding group that you won't see these gentlemen, but they're all working with me and helping me, okay, and helping you. And so that's about 230 years of education. And I will tell you this, you can subtract my name, and I'll put that group against about anybody, if I'll be honest with you. All right, so here's the deal. Involve the board. The consultants understand and enjoy working with you. You're going to be involved in the area aspect that you want to be involved in. We want to get that right fit. It's your decision. So you understand what makes us different. But understand, you make that decision. Okay, I know I said that once, but that's important to me that you understand that. So here's a good thing about us. You don't pay us a dime until you have a candidate and you're happy. You've gone through that process. Listen, we've been with boards, and sometimes we kind of semi-start. Well, we need to spread it out. We're not as satisfied. We'll work until you have a candidate and you're ready to grow, okay? And we take pride in that. All right, there's a few phases here. Okay, phase one, we're going to get planning input. I'm going to meet with the board. I'm doing that tonight for the search process. We're going to start looking at your school needs. We're going to timelines. You have a tentative timeline on the podium in front of you, on the location in front of you. We're going to develop a leadership profile. We have your old profile, but you need to update that. Here's what a leadership profile does. We hear about standards, right? We have to have standards that drive our instruction. Then we have to have assessment. So what we want you to do is we want you to have a profile that sets what you're looking for. We want you, so that will help us as we're going through the candidates. You don't want to decide after you look at the candidates, because personalities, you want to have some standards and things that drive that process before you get the candidates. So we'll work with you to develop that leadership profile, update it. You can, and actually, depending on if you do, we can start all over again. That's your choice. I work for you. We'll plan a survey. You have an application. Okay, phase two, we'll start distributing the application materials. We'll advertise the position. We'll select some nominations. We'll send some things out, and we'll see if there's anybody that thinks there's a strong candidate that would like to recommend that they apply. If you have specifics on recruiting, we can recruit candidates if you let me know what you're looking for. And we'll manage all written, electronic, and oral correspondence. Everything will go through me. Candidates will not bother you. Candidates will interface with me. I will be the conduit for everything to go through that, so you can conduct your job. You do not want one candidate interfacing with one board member or whatever. That's just not good. Okay, phase three, your applicants' evaluations. We'll assist the board in reviewing your application material. That's going to be a long meeting. What we'll do is we'll have a meeting, and what I like to do is I like to do a little old school. I like to have the hard copies, and I like to have all 9 board members to have those hard copies. And we'll go through that meeting. It'll be a little bit of a long meeting. And then from that meeting, you'll start making decisions about who you want to interview for that first round. We'll thoroughly check the references, and we'll assist you in rating and selecting applicants using your leadership profile, your survey results, and the things that you did. All right? Phase 4, we'll assist you in the interview preparation. We'll help you identify the proper questions. I'll schedule and assist the board in conducting those interviews. After its completion, I'll help you if you want to rank those things. I won't rank them, the interview, but I will help you do that if you want me to help you do that, as far as giving you some kind of device. you'll hold follow-up interviews. Most time there's a second round, and you'll plan and assist. Now, here's what you can do at the end. You can have one finalist when you do the process. Let's just go ahead and look at that. We won't go to the timetable yet because I have one in your packet. So usually there's one round, there's a second round. You have three options. You can name 3 finalists, you can name 2 finalists, or you can name 1 finalist. You have to announce that for 14 days. Well, I like to do it 15 days just to be careful. And then which people can know that candidate. Then after that 15th day, you can recommend that person to be, he or she to be the next superintendent of Bear County School System. You know, that's, a lot of systems do 1, some do multiple. That's your choice. We'll talk about it as we go, but that's the law. You can do 3, 2, or 1. Okay? Now, I have a sample time, and if you look at a little something I handed out to you real quick, I have just a really sample, a timeline of kind of what I'd like to do with you. So now, here's a couple things you need to start looking at. I'm going to try to say I got 5 minutes. I'm going. All right. Between March 11th and the 14th, that's a time you need to start looking at your calendars because that's a big meeting. Now, what you can do is you can divide that meeting into 2 phases. I work for you. You can have a meeting where we're looking at all the applicants. You're going to decide who you're going to interview, and then you're also going to decide what we're going to ask them. Now, the last meeting I just did was 4 hours and 10 minutes. It's not a short meeting. If you want to divide those 2 meetings up, that's fine with me. I have no preference, but we just need to start thinking about that meeting. Hey, listen, I'll do Saturdays, I'll do Sundays, I'll do evenings. I'll do my schedule. Whenever my schedule can accommodate you, I'll work around when you want to work. Then you'll see this. And then here's what I do want you to understand about once the interviews start, the speed that we go is your choice, okay? So I did interviews with a district last week. They're doing the second round this weekend. They had 1 week. Some districts go interview a larger sample size, and they go maybe 2 weekends. They think about it, and then we come back for another weekend or whatever. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong answer on how many you interview. There's no right or wrong answer on how many you do in the second interview. It's your decision. I work for you. Okay? Now, if you'll see in that little timeline, and I'm going to stay into my time limit, I've got 2 minutes. If you'll look, I just gave you an example of a couple of surveys that we'll do. We'll do those surveys electronically with emails. And what happened is I'll bring that survey information to you, so when we're at the meeting, you'll see what does the community want? What is the community looking for in the next superintendent? All right? Is it important that they've been in our system, not been in our system to the community? Is it important they've worked in a large system or small system or system similar? Those are those things we do. But we can adjust that survey. The only thing I remind you is the longer you make the survey, the less people might do it. So we don't like to keep the survey too long, but you got a chance to adjust that and communicate, I guess right now with your chair, or communicate directly with me. I'll try to get an email out to you guys just so you'll have me, so you can communicate with me. And the last bit of information is the last thing you'll see, the leadership profile from your last search. That's what helped guided you in the last search. And I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Chair, for any questions you may have, and I stay within my 15-minute time limit. You have a minute for questions.
You did good. Marty, does anyone on the board have any questions for
Yeah,
Dr. McCann?
I have one. Let's go back up to the launching of the stakeholder, employee, and community surveys.
Yes.
I know we're gonna do this electronically, but my concern is, community surveys, because we need more input from the business community as well as our, parents and folks that actually have children in the school system. How do we do that?
There's several ways you can do it. I'll get with your technology department. Sometimes you send them out to employees. If you have the capabilities to send out surveys to parents, we post it on your website. You can communicate directly with your chamber and your other businesses to send that link. So I will get with your staff here, and we'll make that. We want as much highest participation as possible. And so electronically, that's one thing, it makes it easy. And so what ideas you have to make that more, to make that get as large as participation as possible, then I'll work with your staff to do that. And if you have those ideas, you'll communicate. So we'll communicate with your staff and your personnel to administer that. We don't do that directly because we don't have that information.
We did a great job with the calendar, school calendar, surveys that went out. Cause I got a ton of texts and saw it all over social and in my email, so we're capable.
Right. And we'll try to use those. So I'll communicate with staff. Mr. Johnson, I've already communicated with him, and he says you have staff that are ready to assist in that communication, and whatever means we can to get the most of it out. So I hope am I answering your question?
You did.
Okay, good.
I have a list.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I said I have a list of people we need to give information to.
Oh, sure.
get
Okay,
this
I see what
survey
you're saying. Yes. All right.
When do we need to give you dates, hard dates for some of these meetings?
You just start communicating among yourselves, and, here's the thing, you got two options. You can start a communication chain with an email and include me, or communications can run through you, Mr. Chair, and you can communicate with me directly. It's however you want to do it. That's a preference. Some include me in an email chain, we communicate. Some run it through the chair, and the chair communicates with me. That's whatever you want to, but the quicker we can start to get these dates, those dates, sir, you're making a wise decision. March seems a long way away, but it's not. So the quicker we can start getting penciling some of these dates in, and you're also looking at, those interviews. When we start, you can start penciling in, okay, we're gonna meet this night. How fast do we want to schedule interviews? What dates do we want to start reserving? Do you want to do Saturdays, Fridays, evenings? It's just whatever you want to, however you want, when you want to interview, we'll be here and we'll get someone here to be interviewed.
All right.
That brings up my next question.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Saturdays, weekends, whatever. I presume that because we're doing basically a huge search for a new superintendent, that we may have folks coming in from out of town or whatever to interview.
Mm-hmm.
So is it easier for them, I would think it would be, for us to schedule interviews for them on a Saturday or Friday night or whatever?
I'll be honest with you, yes. I mean, it is easier for, Fridays and Saturdays. Applicants have stated in the past that they did prefer that. So, but there's also, sometimes there's a group of applicants that are not geographically as far as some are, and so sometimes boards have decided to interview some of those applicants during the week. That's just up to you.
Okay.
I like weekend interviews, I'll be honest with you, but I'll do whatever you wanted me to do.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Alrighty, well, we will start an email thread with you in it, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank
We
you.
look
And if you
forward to working
can I
with you.
get one of those sheets back from you so I won't forget? I'm gonna look at my list. And I think we've got a home run.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
an honor. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Alrighty, we do not have any new business, so at this time, can I get a motion for authorization for committees to meet?
So moved.
Ms. Stevens, Ms. Maloof, all in favor? Okay, motion passes. Notice our next meeting dates. We've got our January 25th called meeting, the January 29th called meeting, and then our normal work session on January 30th. If there's nothing else to discuss, we are adjourned.